Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Fabula Ultima TTJRPG. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop role-playing game that attempts to bring the Japanese video game RPG experience to your table, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the different types of checks. First we have the accuracy checks. This type of check works like a normal attribute check, but it is performed when a character wants to strike targets that are ready to defend themselves. Each weapon lists a specific accuracy formula. A steel dagger, for instance, requires a roll of dexterity plus insight plus 1. The difficulty level is generally equal to the target's defense score. When performing an accuracy check, the high roll will be used to determine how much damage you deal. Then we have magic checks. This type of check works just like a normal attribute check too, but it is used when a character wants to cast an offensive spell or perform a ritual. The attributes will depend on the kind of magic used by the character. When performing a magic check, the high roll will sometimes be used to determine the effectiveness of the spell cast. Then we have opposed checks. This special kind of attribute check is the fastest way to determine the outcome of a competition between characters, such as a race, a chase, or a debate. Each character taking part in the opposed check performs the same attribute check with no difficulty level. Whoever gets the highest result is the winner. In the case of a draw, the characters that rolled the same result simply repeat the check until one of them emerges victorious. During opposed checks, fumbles are the lowest possible result and critical successes are the highest possible result. They generate opportunities as normal. If two or more characters roll a fumble or a critical success, this counts as a draw and the checks should be repeated. Then we have open checks. This particular kind of attribute check has no difficulty level. Instead, the result tells us how well the character performed. These checks are often used when researching information, examining an area, or recalling important lore. When you perform an open check, you simply compare the result with the table in this section. Rolling a 13 while studying an ancient painting means you managed to get information worthy of an expert archaeologist, while rolling an 8 would only net you basic hints of what the artist wanted to portray. Then we have situational modifiers. If a character performs a check while in a strongly advantageous or disadvantageous position, the Game Master may impose a bonus or a penalty to the result. Most of the time, you will not need to use situational modifiers. Adjusting the difficulty level will be more than enough. However, they can prove useful when said difficulty is established by the rules, such as with an accuracy check, or during opposed checks. If you are the Game Master, use situational modifiers to reward approaches that take advantage of the opposition's traits, personality, and objectives. Then we have group checks. Characters can choose to cooperate in order to increase their chance of success within specific situations. First, the characters nominate a leader. This is the character who will perform the final check and determine the action's outcome. Everyone else acts as a supporting character. Each supporting character performs a support check identical to the one the leader will perform, but with a fixed difficulty level of 10. Fumbles and critical successes rolled during support checks generate no opportunities, but still count as automatic failures and successes. Each supporting character that successfully performed their check will grant a bonus to the leader's check. If any of the successful supporting characters have a bond towards the leader, the highest strength among those bonds is also added to the leader's check. Remember, only add the single highest bond strength. The leader performs the final check, which works as normal and may generate opportunities in case of a fumble or critical success. The check's outcome affects everyone who took part in the group check. Group checks are extremely useful when two or more characters are performing the same operation together. The Game Master always has final say on whether a group check is possible or should be performed. At the end of this section, you have frequently used checks. The table in this part contains a list of circumstances that might require a check and the typical attributes that would be involved. For example, moving silently, hiding, and acting unnoticed would require a dexterity plus dexterity check. Avoiding a trap or finding a way to flee a collapsing building would require a dexterity plus insight check. Maybe hard work such as lifting a portcullis or pushing a statue would require a might plus might check. There is even an optional rule called shared attribute choice. If you use this optional rule, players can decide one of the attributes involved in each check they perform, while the game master decides the other, which can be the same attribute or a different one. This rule does not apply to checks whose attributes are already established by the rules, such as accuracy checks. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about clocks. This section is pretty straightforward, very easy to understand, very effective in my opinion. There will be no doubt as to which check you need to use according to the situation. It also offers great guidelines for unorthodox checks. And when it comes to the optional rule, I actually like it because sometimes players get really creative when attempting something. It makes sense for the player to choose an attribute for the action that is being performed, while the game master puts the other piece of the puzzle, the other complementary attribute. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.